what's interesting too is not only in, let's say, the sort of spiritual community of, like, I hope this doesn't sound like we're picking on people here. I think these are important themes to talk about because it is common. And I know a lot of people struggle with this stuff, but we see in the spiritual side that detraction and going in and just being within too much. Like, I got to go inward, but it becomes too much. It becomes like an obsession of everything is within. And then there's almost like this badge of honor that comes on the, let's say, the conspiratorial or the alternative side, the badge of honor of, I don't even hang around with any of my friends and family anymore because I'm so different and they don't get it and they're so asleep. And that's like a badge of honor that's worn. And I think to myself, how healthy is that? Like, it's one thing to, produce a high quality group of friends around you and let go of some people that you really don't feel fit in your life. If you can say that from a grounded place, then that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. But so often it's said from like they're all idiots, they're asleep, like blah, blah, blah. Or, when I get together with them, they're always just challenging me on my ideas. And sometimes you get to sit in on those people with their friends and you watch how they talk to their friends and condescend their friends and talk down to their friends about what they know. And you go, well, no wonder you're not enjoying being around your friends. You're treating them like garbage. You know what I'm saying? So there's this really interesting question of how these beliefs, how these ideas, some of which may very well be grounded in truth, can really invite people to voluntarily pull themselves into really unhealthy situations of isolation. And I think that's a huge topic in this space.
And I love my friends. Mm-hmm. I love my family. And we have very
different ideas,
very different views.
Yeah.
And I don't see that there are individuals who will come into a conversation and, like you said, dominate. Mm-hmm. This is the truth. This is the reality.
Yeah.
You guys are sheep.
Yeah.
Because you don't see this, Do you think I would say that to my mother? Mm-hmm. Like, no, you have to have respect. These are people's beliefs. This is how they see the world.
Yeah.
And if they see certain things the way they do, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So, I have groups of friends that completely not in this arena, spiritual or conscious arena, mostly sports. I have a lot of friends that are very connected to the sports industry. Mm-hmm. So all they talk about is sports. And I'll listen to them talk politics. I'll listen to them talk about everything. And I enjoy it. I love it because I get another perspective of life.
Yes.
And then I can bring up things that I'm doing and they respect me.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
But we're still cool. We're still friends.
Right.
And I think that it's kind of like being inclusive.
Yeah.
You need to be, that's what true inclusivity is.
Yeah. Respecting people.
Yeah. Respecting people's ideas and knowledge.
Yeah.
And not, demeaning them and belittling them and saying, the worst thing that I've heard in this community is when a person becomes sick. Mm-hmm. And let's say they're a spiritual person that becomes sick.
Yeah. And,
they could be dying in a hospital, right? And their friends who knew them for years, who are the spiritual friends, they go, oh, they're sick because, they're lower vibration.
Right.
It's like,
what is that?
It's a kind of this kind of ego arrogance of my spirituality is better than your spirituality.
Right.
When we're all human, we're all here living an experience, and you can't take that experience away from them. Mm-hmm. If you get into mysticism, the duality of things is everything is one, basically.
Yeah.
So the negative parts of life and the positive parts of life equal your life.
Yeah.
It's your wholeness. Mm-hmm. And you have to experience certain things that you may not like in this world, but you can't push them away. You have to kind of own them.
Yeah.
To be whole.
And so much of what you talked about and like how you navigated, moving through these places, maintaining friends and doing all these different things and talking about a different perspective that you can learn from people. We talk a lot about curiosity here and this idea of, what does it really mean to be curious? And when I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm like, the curiosity is when you said, why do they have that perspective? Like what series of events, like if we can't get curious enough to ask our friends and our family, oh, why do you have that perspective? Or why do you believe that or whatever? From a true like place of curiosity, meaning you're not just going to be like, you didn't get that from fucking mainstream media, did you? You know, like that kind of thing, but like actually curious, like why? And then if they say, oh, well, I heard that on the news. Oh, interesting. Why, like, have you heard of this perspective? Oh, no, I haven't. Or do you always believe what's there, or are you open to other ideas? And like, you're just trying to understand where somebody comes from versus this perspective of you got it from mainstream media. That's all a lie, right? Because according to the conspiratorial community too, there's not a single story that can appear in mainstream media that is true. Every single story is false. And not only that, but if a true story were to land, it's for some other agenda, right? So it becomes this like really non-curious process. It's ideological at that point, right? And so this curiosity, which I definitely sense in you and in what you're talking about, I think is something that so many of us can benefit from kind of bringing back to our lives. And this sort of leads into the question of, when I was going through parts of your book there, you're talking about your earlier years when you were a kid and you were having, entities or shadow people show up in your room. And this sort of, you became curious about certain things ultimately, and it led you towards Qigong and some of these postures that we're going to talk about a little bit. But I'm curious, like, again, there's curiosity. What happened in that space when you were younger? What led you towards these things? Like if you were to break that down.
Well, it was always there. So it was always kind of in the background. And it's just kind of like, sometimes you have dreams that you remember and sometimes you don't have dreams you remember. So there's certain like events or experiences that you have in your life that you completely forgotten about. And there's some that just kind of remain with you. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing with these spiritual experiences. So I'll remember certain things as a child of these beings, it's just like paranormal in your house. Like, okay, my house was haunted.
Yeah.
And I remember, even my brother, I'll tell the story. Yeah. Even my brother would experience these things. And it's like, I remember as a kid, one night he ran into my room crying with his pillow and he starts hitting me in bed with his pillow. And I, calm him down. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you hitting me with a pillow in the middle of the night? And he's crying. And he says, well, you came into my room, you ripped the pillow out from under my head and started hitting me. He's like, no, I've been sleeping. We had these weird experiences of these paranormal events that happened in my house.
Yeah.
And then it happened again where he said he woke up one night and he saw his lamp like floating in the air next to him. So it wasn't just me that was having these experiences. So we knew that there was some strangeness going on. And when you kind of grow up with it, you have that curiosity. And at first you have a fear, but then it's just, there it is. Mm-hmm. There's no fear anymore. And this is what happened later in life in my 20s, where you start having sleep paralysis. You start feeling things walking around your room or sitting on top of you while you're trying to sleep. You can't breathe. And at first it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But if this is happening like every single night for a year or two, after a couple of weeks, you're just annoyed that it's still happening.
Yeah.
So you kind of drop that fear. And as that experience progresses, your curiosity peaks. Okay, like, what is this really?
Yeah.
Is this just my brain having hallucinations?
Yeah.
Am I sick? Or is there something to this phenomenon?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this whole thing opened up to me with the whole supernatural, spiritual phenomenon, is that, is there a world beyond ours? Or is there something that we can't see that can influence or affect us?
Yeah.
And this is where I kind of got into mysticism and Qigong. And when you really go back and look at these things, it's in black and white. I mean, this has been here forever. It's never changed.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's changed is our society and our belief systems.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to fit our beliefs to match this type of supernatural thing that we can't define.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we just call them ghosts or entities or things like that. And is it?
Well, it's interesting because the empirical material scientists of today would say, well, you know, back in the day, we believed tons of crazy things, right? And that statement wipes away all of the unexplainable things. Thankfully, there's this sort of post-material science that's, you know, reemerging here now, which in a lot of ways is trying to empirically examine what you're referring to as sort of these ancient understandings that you know that we've had. But that's even a fascinating transition to see that unfold. But thanks so much for watching this clip. You can listen to this full episode via the link in the description below. It's also available anywhere you currently get your podcasts. If you want to support this podcast and watch this full episode on video, consider becoming a member of our Explorer Lounge. As a member, you get access to exclusive video content. You can watch full episodes just like this, ad-free, and you get access to a private social network where you can discuss and learn about many topics with a like-minded community of changemakers. Being an Explorer Lounge member brings you great benefits, plus you're directly supporting our dedicated team here at Collective Evolution and The Pulse.